I'm Lindsay Maloney, and this is the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I built a six-figure coaching business while raising my 3 babies and working a 9 to 5, and I'm here to help you break free from the hustle mentality that's been holding you back from reaching your full potential so you can know your worth, step into your own power, and of course, book your dream clients. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. Today I'm interviewing Kathryn Hocking, and we're chatting all about astrology and how you can use it in your business. This is an amazing episode, and I encourage you to take lots of notes and, of course, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Kathryn, thank you so much for being on the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I'm so excited you're with us today.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay. I'm so excited to be here too.
I'm excited to share what you do with our audience because it's very unique. We haven't had anybody who specializes in what you do. It's so special and amazing. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us all about what you do and who you serve.
Oh, thanks so much. So as you said, my name's Kathryn Hocking, and I have a personal brand website over at kathrynhocking.com. And I am a business astrologer and Soulful launching mentor. So I teach women how to get their soul work out into the world. And I specifically use astrology as a tool to help them align to their soul purpose, to brand in a way that's going to attract their soul clients, to pick the best times to launch, and a whole lot of other things. So I teach astrology over at my academy, the Embodied Soul Astrology Academy, and I also work with clients in other ways through Soulful launching mentoring.
I love that you specialize in launching and then you use astrology. They tie together so well. Did you start your business just working without astrology, or did you always use that as a tool?
Look, it's absolutely been a journey, and no, I didn't use astrology in the beginning. So if I guess I tell your audience a little bit about my journey, because it's, been a bit of a journey. I've been in business for 8 years now. And when I started out, I really started out as a very traditional business coach. And I started creating online courses because I really got into business around 8 years ago. Online courses, online programs, online products generally were kind of just starting to take off. Mm-hmm. And my audience were predominantly mums with young children. And I really realized that online courses and training were the best way for them to learn and develop themselves and their businesses. So I started creating programs for them, and then they started asking me to teach them how to create online training programs. So I then created my program, the e-course launch formula, which has been an extremely successful program. It's $1 million e-course. So I created that program and spent a number of years really just focusing on teaching people how to create e-courses and online programs. Mm-hmm. And I really loved doing that work. It was a really good fit. I've got a training background and absolutely loved it. But it got to a point where it just was starting to feel a little bit shallow for me in terms of what I'm here to do in the world. I didn't feel like I was quite having the impact that I wanted to have. I didn't feel like I was helping people to the full extent of my abilities. I could see that women in particular were really struggling to actually put themselves out there, be visible, and really take action on what they wanted to do. So I kind of went on a bit of a mission to work out what other ways could I help these women. I did a soul and energy medicine practitionership. I created another program, Launch Mastery, that was all around soulful launching and really blending masculine and feminine launching approaches. Mm-hmm. And I studied astrology as well, and very quickly realized just how amazing astrology was and how much benefit my clients could get by aligning with their astrology blueprint. And then really as women working with natural astrology cycles as well. So it's been quite a long journey to get to where I am right now.
I love your journey. And I think people who have like a 5+ year journey, I started about 9 years ago. It's always
Yeah.
completely different from where you started. And the important thing is that you started and you're here now doing what you do. And it's a beautiful journey. So I would love for you to share with us about astrology and why and how it affects our business and especially launching.
Absolutely. So the core concept with astrology is that we are all incarnated at a certain time for a certain reason, and we come in with this beautiful cosmic blueprint for our life, and that is our natal astrology chart. So we can look at our natal chart and really understand who we are and what we're here to do in this lifetime. And that's really beautiful for anyone to do, whether you
Mm-hmm.
have a business or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible tool just to get to know yourself better and be really in tune with your purpose. But we can take it to another level with business astrology. So we can take our natal chart and we can then blend that with other astrology techniques such as predictive astrology and electional astrology. So we can use astrology to look at the best times to launch a product or program or a business. We can run charts for our business and actually understand more about what the soul of our business is as opposed to our natal chart. So for some of us who have personal brand sites, like a lot of us do, and I
Mm-hmm.
have a personal brand site, we typically use our natal chart if we have a personal brand. But if you have a business that is not so much a personal brand, then we can run charts for that specific business as well and really dive into what the energy of that business is, what it's here to do, who you're here to serve. We can use astrology to come up with the perfect branding for our business. There's just so many different applications that we can use astrology for in business.
That's so interesting. Have you ever found that somebody who has a business, a personal brand, and they, you said, like you said, you pull their charts and you do all of this work, and do you find that sometimes people are completely unaligned with what they're doing?
Look, it does happen, but more often than not, and it may be just a specific type of people that I tend to work with who are already fairly intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
What I find more often is that when we pull their chart out and we look at it, it's more of a sense of, wow, it's all there right in the chart. Or, now I feel like I've got permission to do what I really want to do. Or this all makes so much sense now. So I find typically the people I work with are already reasonably aligned, and it's about those tweaks that really take it to a whole other level. And often, particularly with women, it's about giving ourselves permission. We probably already know deep down what it is that we want to do, but we haven't been able to give ourselves permission. And I find that often seeing it right there in the chart, knowing that this is what you were meant to do, just gives women that sense of permission to go off and do it.
We do feel the need to get permission to do things, don't we? And I think this
Yeah.
is like a nod, yes, like you're on the right path, keep going. And I think that's so important for women, especially female entrepreneurs, to have that, because sometimes we feel like, what am I doing this for? And how long am I doing this? And does the work I do really matter? And having something like that is so powerful. What kind of transformations have you seen in yourself, in your business, once you started looking into it with this perspective?
Yeah, it's been really interesting for me. I'd say that one of the things that has shifted for me and that I have given myself permission to do based on my natal chart, is really step into being a speaker. So for many, many years, I used to tell myself I'm a trainer, but I'm not a speaker, that I didn't want to get up on stage and, that it just wasn't my thing, because I am a fairly introverted sort of person. I also kind of told myself that I wasn't going to write a book, and, that wasn't something I wanted to do. And as I got to know my astrology chart, it's actually very clear in my chart that communicating in all ways, in particular speaking and writing, is actually a very important part of what I'm here to do. So for me, it gave me the push and the permission that I actually needed to push myself out of my comfort zone and really embrace that I am a speaker. And as I started doing that, I've had just these moments up on stage where I'm in absolute bliss and absolutely loving it, even though I had told myself for years that I wasn't a speaker and that wasn't part of my path. So that's been really transformational for me, to work with my chart, to embrace who I am and what I'm here to do.
I love how you say that, this is something that you always said you weren't going to do. Do you feel like maybe if you went back to that person, that she felt like there was something missing, and because she wasn't sure that this was part of her journey? Do you feel that way?
I think, I've been on quite a transformational journey in a number of ways over the last few years. So I actually had weight loss surgery a bit over 18 months ago, and actually lost in Australian metrics over 40 kilos. So I think part of it for me was feeling very uncomfortable in my body and wanting to hide a bit, feeling much more comfortable behind the screen of a computer, or supporting my students in a Facebook group. But there was this fear of being visible, because I kind of felt like I was trapped in a body that wasn't my body. So I think there's been all these other elements for me. There's been this sense of being released from a bit of a prison for me. So now I feel like I'm in the body I was meant to be in. I feel more confident. So that has also been a big part for me of being able to step into this and claim this for myself. And, and interestingly, even my weight issues are right there in my astrology chart. So I have Jupiter in my first house, and Jupiter in the first house is about our identity and physical body, and Jupiter is about expansion. So people that have Jupiter in the first house often have weight problems. So, just another funny example of how these things are all there in the chart. And it's been really great to be able to embrace what I'm really here to do.
I would like to talk about using astrology to plan things out in your business. How exactly do you do that?
So I do it in a lot of different ways. One of the things I do is I do a year ahead reading for myself every year. So I look at what are the major transits that I'm going through. And a transit is where the planets that are constantly moving through the heavens will trigger certain points on our natal chart. And that can be kind of positive or negative or challenging or harmonious. So I do a reading and see what those transits are, what they might mean for me this year. I then also look at monthly what the different energies are going to be for me. And I kind of give myself a sense of, well, what is this year really about? And what's it calling me to do? And what's the flow of that year? I then also, every month, I'll sit down and I'll look more closely again at the different transits that I'm going through. And then I also work really closely with the new and full moon. So I will plan my launches typically to be between the new moon and just after the full moon, to take advantage of the building of energy as opposed to the waning of the moon's energy. And that also is a really great way to work with astrology as well, by working with the moon cycles.
I love that. And you see, a lot of people in my space too that do that. And I feel like it's such a, um, what do I want to say? The moon is something that, I never really paid much attention to. And then once you start learning about, it's funny how we kind of learn about business and we go through that road. And then we realize, there's a lot of things in the inside that we need to focus on. And you start learning about all these other things that can affect you. And I love how the moon is always that constant guide for us. And it feels so good. And I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she is just tickled that it feels like the moon is just following me everywhere. It's everywhere I look. And I love the 5-year-old's perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And women are such cyclical beings. We are so impacted by our menstrual cycles and the cycles of the moon that it just makes good sense for us to try and align our business with these cycles and to work with this energy rather than against it. I think men are more of that hustle energy and that just keep going, keep working. Women, we need the ebb and the flow. So, there's definitely times for us to be doing the big work and pushing, but we also need a lot of that rest time and that feminine approach. I see so many women getting sick and burnt out in their businesses, particularly in launch-based businesses, because they're not blending those energies. They're not having both feminine and masculine times, and so they're just getting burnt out. So it's so powerful. And every new and full moon has a different energy. It's in a different star sign. It will impact a different part of your natal chart. So, you can go really deep and look specifically what's being activated during that new and full moon and how you can work with that energy.
And so do you have a program that helps people learn about all of this so they can use this in their business?
So I have run a mistress mind that I have worked with people on this, and I've run other programs in the past. At the moment, I'm building the Embodied Soul Astrology Academy. And so we at the moment are looking at the different placements of the planets and more what it says about your personality. But I'm absolutely going to be bringing in some more business astrology courses in the academy over the next little while that help people to work with these cycles and work with the moon in their business.
I think it's so important that you're doing this because I think, like you said, the launch mode can get really exhausting and absolutely draining. And sometimes we don't even realize that, we're on this cycle of putting our bodies through this craziness. And I've had, multiple times where I will go into launch mode and something will happen with my health and I'll just feel horrible that whole week. And I know that it's my body telling me this is not what you should be doing right now, and then you ignore it, and then you get worse, and it's because your body's trying to signal to you that this isn't what we want to do right now. Can you please pay attention and rest or do whatever your body's telling you to. The last couple times that I've done something really big in my business is I wasn't feeling the best. So do you find that is common with people who aren't paying attention at the time to astrology or to the moon? They're doing these big things in their business and they're doing them at the wrong time. Do you find that that's common where they're not feeling well or their body's just sick or they just feel unaligned?
Yeah, look, it's so common. And it's the reason I created my second business program, Launch Mastery, which the question you asked before, I do actually have some astrology lessons in that program and helping people plan their launch around the moon cycle now that I remember. But it's so common. So I had adrenal fatigue 2 years in a row, really quite severe adrenal fatigue back in the early years of my business. I was launching, I would always get so sick during a launch, but I was like, the launch must go on, I'd be sitting at my computer, so sick. My body just wanted me to go to bed and sleep, and I wouldn't. I would just keep pushing through, and I'd end up with this debilitating adrenal fatigue. And after I had it for the second year in a row, I just thought to myself, like, there has to be another way. This type of business is not sustainable. I can't get sick and confined to a bed for a month at a time every year. This is just ridiculous. And so that was really what started my journey in believing there had to be another way. And so I found my own way and then created a program around it, which is Launch Mastery, which was all about blending the masculine and the feminine energies in launching. And so what I find is when people are starting to get sick during a launch, it is that they've been too much in the masculine, and they really need to bring in some feminine practices. And that doesn't mean you have to go and take a week off your launch, but it does mean go have a sleep, go get a massage, go pull out your oracle cards and tune in, you know, do whatever it is that you need to do to get your body into a much better energetic state, because we're not going to be receptive when we are exhausted and overwhelmed and stressed. You know, we're going to be receptive when we're vibrating at a really high level. So we need to take really good care of ourselves during a launch. And so many people do the opposite. We take the worst care of ourselves during a launch.
Mm-hmm. We do. We wake up earlier, we stay up later, and we shower more because we're going live. It's the truth. Really, you're doing so much and you're not even taking a second to breathe, even, because your eyeballs are wide open staring at a screen for 7 days. And you know
I just live on coffee. I wouldn't feed myself properly. You know, it's just crazy, really. And then we wonder why we get sick during a launch. So.
Okay, so it's like self-care at its finest, paying attention to your cycles and, you know, learning about astrology and doing all those things that really help you build your business for the long term and help you make a bigger impact. So if you're thinking, okay, well, there's something to this, how can people find out more about how to make this work for them? So maybe they feel like they are really aligned with what you do and they want to find out more about your work. Where can they find you? I think this is a really important tool for all female entrepreneurs to have.
Oh, thank you so much. So I have a couple of ways people can find me. So they can come over to kathrynhocking.com. That's where I have my astrology readings that people can get if they'd like one. But I also have a really great blog that covers a whole lot of different astrology topics, a whole lot of soulful launching topics, including things like working with the moon cycles and working with your own cycle. And then if they're interested in learning astrology, they can come on over to the Embodied Soul Astrology Academy.com. And that's where all of my astrology courses are housed, and my community that I'm teaching astrology. So what I am creating is a business astrology certification. Business astrology is something that is not very well catered to, and it is such an amazing tool. So I'm going to be taking students through to a certification level in business astrology.
That's amazing. So if anybody who is interested in this and they don't know anything about astrology, is this something still for somebody who's just fresh baby, don't know anything? Is this for them?
Absolutely. So I've got a couple of things they can do. I have a free astrology basics course over at Embodied Soul Astrology Academy. So this is a free course people can go through if they are totally new to astrology. It will show them how to create their chart, how to understand what everything on the chart means, and we'll give them a few tips of how to start interpreting their chart. And then if they'd like to go deeper, the next course is Foundations of Astrology. So this is a paid course, but it will then take them even deeper again and really get them to a point where they can really start getting a lot of benefit from working with astrology. And then, of course, they can move through my other programs as well. But I've got some great tools over at the Embodied Soul Astrology Academy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, Kathryn. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. It's been so nice to talk to you today. And yeah, I really just hope if people are feeling burnt out and exhausted, or perhaps not feeling entirely aligned to their business, you know, come over and find me at either of my sites, and I'd love to connect with them.
For sure. We will put all of those links in the show notes. And I encourage everyone to go over there and explore. And of course, I'll just give everyone permission to DM you on Instagram and ask you questions.
Absolutely. I love a DM. I love chatting with people. So that's beautiful.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I am so grateful for you, and I want to be sure you are a part of my free community. Go to dreamclientcommunity.com and join our free Facebook group. We have all kinds of cool things happening every single day, so don't miss out. Also, if you love downloading freebies, check out my freebie vault on my website by going to lindsaymaloney.com, selecting freebie vault, and there you can download all the things that will help you start and scale your coaching business. And if you're feeling extra generous, be sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.